you speak a little bit as to the reality of user-based businesses versus like traditional business that has a revenue model right from the beginning?
Sure. If you look at a company, you could have growth on one axis and you could have profitability on the other. And so a high growth business that's highly profitable is the most coveted business in the world. We have one of those. It's called Apple. Apple has massive profits. They throw off massive amounts of free cash flow. They've got tons of cash in the bank, hundreds of billions of dollars. And this is a great example of just a high growth business, keeps growing, and they keep printing money. Google's another one. It's high growth, and it prints money. Now, they've slowed down compared. I'm not saying they're tripling in size like an early stage startup might be able to, but they're growing significantly, double-digit growth on, let's call it, very large bases, tens of billions or hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue a year. So putting those two examples aside, then you could have a company that is extremely high growth, but maybe not as profitable right now, and they are sacrificing profitability in order to increase the growth. So a company like Airbnb or Uber or perhaps Tesla, they might decide, you know what, we're going to build such a compelling suite of products in such a big footprint around the world that we know in year 5 we'll be profitable in every city. So let's launch 100 cities over the next 3 years, and then there'll be this waterfall of cities becoming profitable, break even, then profitable, then wildly profitable as we figure out the model. From the outside, people don't understand what's going on there. There is a race to collect the market share, and sometimes it's competitive, and sometimes people defer profitability. The risk there, of course, is that you can train customers on lower prices that can never become profitable, or you may have a business that is in fact never going to be profitable and you're subsidizing it on venture capital. Instacart comes to mind with a company that will always have a challenge with their margin, right? Because delivering groceries is something that consumers generally don't want to pay for. Some will, but a lot don't. And in order to pay the proper amount of money, the margin is just going to be challenged there. Groceries, the margin is already slim. Delivery, people don't want to pay for. They've become accustomed through Amazon deferring profitability by making it free for so long that Instacart, I think, has a hard time figuring it out. And we use Instacart in our home, but we're kind of in the top third of homes probably now, so we're a little bit more affluent. And spending $10 or $20, maybe it's $15 or something every time we do a delivery, for us that's not a big deal. For somebody else, they might say, I don't want to spend that $15. I want to put that towards buying something, and I have an hour free tonight, so I'll just go shopping. I enjoy it, and it's no big deal. I'd rather save the $15 4 times a month. Other people, they would rather have their time, and they'd rather pay for the convenience of having it delivered. So you have to, from the outside, understand what's going on. So I see a lot of young entrepreneurs who are like, well, I should just keep investing in this business. I should just keep raising money indefinitely. Well, if you haven't shown that there is a core unit economics to the business that is profitable, then savvy venture capitalists and later stage investors are going to not invest in the business. So what is unit economics? That's on each individual transaction that occurs, is it profitable or not? So stop looking at the murky books that you can play all kinds of games with, but look on an individual transaction. You had somebody who's a delivery person who's making $15 an hour, and they're able to deliver your groceries, 2 groceries per hour. That puts their cost at $7.50, but they have some hours where they don't work and they don't deliver, but they're still getting paid because they're full-time employees, and they have benefits, and they have 4 weeks a year they take off. Okay, the salary is really $30 when you put all that into effect, and the cost per delivery is $15, and we charge $10, so we lost $5. And we know if we charged another $5, the customer would not do it because that's the breaking point, that they would go to the store. And now when you examine that unit economics, you realize, wow, this business is just too challenged. What I loved about Airbnb's business, or say Uber's business, that they were eliminating so much waste and so many middlemen and so many inefficiencies from the system, be it medallion owners or cab company owners or hotel front lobbies and desks and that kind of infrastructure, that when they reduced all that, they were able to take their 25% margin or 15% margin, whatever it is for each company and for different classes of products. And those were on either very big ticket items like a hotel room or a place to stay in an Airbnb, or very frequent things like a daily commute. So that led to positive unit economics on something that's frequent or something that's a big purchase. So that's the other variable you have to blend into this is some businesses might have wonderful margins once every 8 years. Redfin, might sell a home for somebody or help somebody buy a home every 5 years or every 10 years, and they make a wonderful profit. But it only happens once every 5 or 10 years. So they have to constantly acquire new customers, and they just get that one big, hopefully commission. So something like buying coffee, like Cafe X does, that might happen 3 times a day, 2 times a day, 10 times a week. So you have a higher frequency, lower unit economics, but the profits could add up, like in the case of Uber.
So, I love how you brought that up, because I think that is the simplest way to explain what a lot of young people don't seem to understand about building user-based businesses. Is that they still need a matrix of economics, like you said, something that is simple, that can still make sense once they do get to a place where they need to turn on that switch and start becoming profitable. So the question becomes, when you're looking at all these young entrepreneurs that are saying, well, I'll just grow the user base and then eventually sell off because I'm not even going to get to that unit. Tell me a little bit about, like, what is your advice, or what is the way you encourage people to look at their business, even if they are trying to build a user-based business? Are you telling them right from the beginning, pay attention to this unit, or is that something they have time to figure out as they build the product? Is that something you have to kind of figure out before you launch or afterwards?
I think you should be intellectually honest about it and upfront about it. If you don't think there's enough margin in the business, you really shouldn't launch that business. Or if you discover early on that there isn't enough margin there, you should abandon that business and pivot or shut the company down and just have a candid discussion with your investors and your team. It's fine to have a crazy idea, but once you realize that that crazy idea is going to lead to death, to continue to do it is not wise, right? So I love the idea that people want to take on a crazy mission. But if you know the mission is doomed, you know that you're going into a firefight that you cannot win, you would retreat, come up with a better plan, pick another battle. And so I do see some people who are like, they get 6 months in or a year in, they're super vested, they're personally vested, they're emotionally vested. They've told this whole team, oh my God, we have to deliver groceries in under an hour for free. And then it's like, okay, we can't deliver them in an hour. We deliver them in a 4-hour window. And we can't deliver them free. We're delivering them for $15. And this business is still terrible. And Amazon bought Whole Foods, our biggest customer. Like that, all that stuff piles on to something like Instacart. And you're like, oh my God, can this business ever work? And I don't mean to pick on Instacart. I think the service itself has become delightful. So it's actually the perfect example. The service has become delightful, but they still face massive challenges from a competitive set that, in some cases does not care about profitability on a year-to-year basis. They're going to look at profitability in a decade-to-decade basis. They may say 1 decade no profits, 1 decade modest profits, 1 decade massive profits, like an Amazon might, right? So this is a different style of competitor, and I think that's something where you have to just be intellectually honest. And if you need to change your business model, there's no harm in doing that. There is harm in leading a bunch of people into a slaughter. Now, unlike being in the military, and God bless those people who go out there and fight those fights for us while we go build websites and mobile apps, sincerely. And the prospect is not death. You could just crash your company and then the next day go on vacation for 6 months to Thailand and do yoga or whatever, and sip coconuts on the beach, and then come back and start another company. So it's kind of the opposite of going to war. So we use this war metaphor because it does feel arduous and hard, but trust me, as psychologically pressuring as a startup can be on an individual or a team, they need to have the balance to understand that this is not cancer, this is not a firefight in Mogadishu, and this is not, being an astronaut caught up in space and having no way to get home and counting, the hours until your oxygen's out and you die and you never get to say goodnight to your kids again. And we have seen some founders commit suicide, and I've seen a lot of depression and anxiety in founders, and it's understandable that people would have anxiety and depression. Because it can be anxiety producing and it can be depressing to fail. But you should also have people to talk to unwind this and let out the steam, and the pressure, because it is in fact not a matter of life and death. It's hard work, it's arduous, but it's not something to die over. It's not something to ruin your family over. It's not something to ruin your marriage over, abandon your kids or ruin their future. So I think some people take the metaphor a little bit too far, so I was rolling myself back on that metaphor.
Hey guys, Pejman Gademi here, founder of SecretEntourage.com, author of the bestseller Third Circle Theory. I'm coming to you today because so many of you have asked me, why did you create Secret Entourage and what is it really about? Welcome to the future of self-education. With 2,000 plus articles, 300 plus videos, live mastermind teachings, and the support of 30,000 plus people, we know how to motivate, inspire, and educate people because we've done it for quite some time. We are not just wealthy, we're educators for change. Welcome to Secret Entourage.